Hey, everybody. So it is the Sisters Circle, and we are excited to be here this evening. And so the topic today is, what are some issues that you are dealing with? What are some challenges and issues that you're dealing with? And so we're excited about being able just to kind of talk with you guys. Remember, feel free to comment, ask questions, anything that you want to share, and we'll try to share it as we're discussing. And then we'll also answer any questions or add to our discussion based off of your comments. So this time we're trying it hopefully on several outlets. So you should be seeing it on YouTube and Facebook. And so we're hoping that everybody is watching, and we should be able to see your comments as well. So let's jump right on it. So here's what I did. I asked all of the ladies prior to this meeting, what are some things that you are just dealing with? Because you're probably not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that are just having some challenges. And let's just talk about it and see how we can encourage each other and help each other out. So one of the things that we all had in common was confidence. So each of the ladies said something related to this notion of having confidence and challenges with having self-confidence. So I just really kind of want to start with you all and asking you guys, what is your specific challenge when it comes to your own self-confidence?
Well, I guess I'll start. My confidence over the years has actually grown a little bit more than what it was when I was younger. Some of the challenges that I have with confidence pertaining to me and my beautiful blackness is what I would like to call it. One of the challenges for me would be to say that I was on the darker end of the African American color spectrum. And that was really, really hard for me when I was growing up, just dealing with a lot of negativity around it, dealing with a lot of the issues, the name calling and stuff. And, kids can be cruel. And some of my self-confidence / self-esteem issues came from that. It derived from that. I'll get into it if we ask this question a little bit later about why or what were some of the things that may have happened. But it's just, I know for me, that was a big deal. That was a big issue. I'm not sure if anyone else had that problem, but for me, and sometimes now, even with the acceptance of, more the darker skin tones, it's still sometimes in the back of my mind, and I still sometimes struggle with that a little bit.
That's good. So how do you see that, those experiences? And like you said, that's one of the topics that we'll talk about in a minute. But how do you see that impacting you today with your confidence? You said you made some gains, but where do you kind of see it still creep in?
Just by like for instance, if somebody makes a comment about it or says something like along the lines where, you sure are pretty to be dark skinned. Sometimes it still creeps in the back of my mind, like, why does it have to be I'm pretty to be dark skinned?
Yeah.
Why can't it just be I'm pretty? You know what I'm saying? So, and it still affects me a little bit because it kind of goes back to, some of that, again, that name calling and that shaming that I had when I was young. But yeah, it creeps in my mind all the time when I hear people may have like small discussions about it or say something, oh, beautiful dark skinned woman. And I'm like, oh, now you're accepting it,
That's right.
That's right. Feeling about it. But it hurts a little bit sometimes.
Okay, that's really good. I think, and like we talked about, that's one of the topics. So that'll be next up where we get into that. But anybody else, how are you seeing just confidence issues that you're really dealing with as a woman, especially a woman of faith?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
So
Everybody's being coy.
I know, right? For me, it's my personal struggle with always questioning myself as far as the things that I do. And it may be because I'm looking for, um, I don't know, I'm looking for acceptance from other people that I one look up to, or I really, really respect. And if I don't get that feedback or I don't get the support I feel that I need, then I will lose the confidence in myself of my ability. So I will question, am I doing it right? Is there a different way to do it? Because I'm a person who loves to learn no matter what. If it's something new, something old that I can, gain more information on to be better at, I'm always trying to better myself. And I think that's the point, just to be better at. I can never be perfect. I know that, even though, there's a perfectionist side of me that I don't ever want to disappoint anybody. I don't ever want to give anybody a reason to not trust me, not count on me. So part of that is that I look for, and it's a word for that. And if y'all think of it, please say it.
Okay.
I look for that feedback. And if I don't get it from whom I'm seeking it from, then I will I start to lack confidence in myself, even though, I have some people in my corner that say, no, this is great, you can do it, but if I don't get it from this specific, person or group, then it's like, then what am I doing this for? It's not even work. I will talk myself out of it. And thank God I have a husband who'll be like, no, let's keep going, So for me, that in my adulthood life, that is where my struggle of confidence comes in. But as a kid, Erica Wright, kids can be really, really, really cruel. And, getting that, oh, you're pretty to be a big girl, oh, you're so cute with your fat, it's just like that I dealt with like my whole life. And at some point, probably in my during college years, I was just like, you know what? We're going to embrace what we are. If this is the size I'm going to be, then this is the size I'm going to be. And we're going to embrace it. And long as I'm not struggling with diabetes, yada, 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 and I'm healthy, then I'm fine. So I finally got to a point where I am getting better at being okay with the size that I am. Because like Erica said, now it seems to be more acceptable, now that we, grown over the years, but even still, it takes time to get to that place. But those were my struggles as a kid, as, not being confident in how I looked. But after a while, I learned that that's not what's important. What's important was in your heart and was in your mind. And so I don't struggle too much with that anymore, but I question my abilities and the things that I know God has given me to do. I question that more. So that's what I like confidence.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I feel like y'all both speaking my language here.
Right.
So I definitely have so on both ends. I struggle with confidence in my abilities. And if sometimes for me, people will tell you how great you are. And this is what Ametria say. People tell you how great you are, and it just doesn't seem to hit. Like it's a certain voice or something that you feel like you have to hear it from for it to resonate as true for whatever reason. And so I agree with y'all. It's something that I still every day have to, give myself some daily affirmation. You got this. You are smart. You're smart enough to do this. Those types of things. Just because I think I really do struggle with, and a lot of times I struggle also with wanting to receive a certain feedback from some people, but then also just my lack of patience, right? So if I feel like I try something and if I feel like it's not overwhelmingly successful, then I'm like, this was a terrible idea. I give up. I'm not doing it. right?
Right.
And so, I'm really happy to see that every day, you got to kind of trust God, and that He's not going to give you a talent or gift that He's not going to elevate for you, right? And so I'm just trying to trust Him in that. I was reading this scripture today when I was thinking about confidence, and and the scripture, 2 Corinthians 12:9, is where Paul says, God says, my grace is sufficient for you.
Yeah.
For my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest in me. And what I really loved about this is that the commentary writer said is that we really don't believe God's grace is sufficient until we believe we are insufficient.
Mm.
And I thought that hit me today, just in recognizing that it's okay to have weaknesses. It's okay to not be perfect, because that's when the power of God rises up even more in my life. And I think sometimes I've spent so much time trying to have confidence in myself, when the truth of the matter is I need to have my confidence is in God, right? That He's given me a talent, and He's given each of you a talent. And so my confidence is in Him, that He will make that talent come into fruition. And so I'm hoping each day, and I'm praying each day, that I will get to that point where I'm no longer trying, because He's a reliable source.
Right.
Confidence is in Him, then I'll be more at peace. With my situation and my circumstance. And the other thing that it said that I thought was really good, it said that the maturity of the Christian life is not when we become independent from God, but when we are totally dependent upon God. Sometimes we think that, we're being more mature when we're not needing to pray as much, or we're not needing. But the truth of the matter is, the mark of Christian maturity is the fact that you recognize that you are inadequate to do this on your own, right? And that you are totally dependent upon God. So, that's just been something that it is an area that I really, really struggle with each and every day. And even, Demetri talked about, I've been a thickums my whole life. I used to ask God, can I be thin once? I just want to know what it feels like. What is it like to be thin? I don't know that experience. What's it
You're
like?
probably like, you gonna scare yourself if I do this to you.
What is it like to go into a store and it not be Lane Bryant, or but like Demetria said, and even when we went to Miami, right? Miami, and we saw these ladies and just big, beautiful women, and wearing some of the skin tightest things, and Demetria all wrapped up, like, oh, that's and then
what did I say? Confidence.
Their confidence in themselves, and really not caring what other people think. It was kind of like, an awakening a little bit. So
like,
I'm Captain. Anybody else? Anything that I said that you just kind of want to jump in on as it relates to confidence?
No, I didn't really have it like, so coming up, it used to be, here comes Too Tall. And I used to be like, yeah, mama. But that was in that, that was in that elementary days. That was your comeback. You had to have something come back and hit your leg.
Right.
That's right. I'd have been in many a fights because somebody hit your mama.
Right. Gotta have a comeback. So as it went up, because you gotta remember, 6th grade, I probably was already in a size 12. So that was one of my struggles. So, but in junior high, it wasn't as bad, but the game changed in high school. So it took me a minute to gather confidence, because when all your friends have small feet, and y'all, back in the day, you dressed like with your friends and stuff. So, but you can't wear that. But their confidence wasn't there. So I'm gonna buy that shoe that I know I can't fit. And we're gonna go to this dance, and I'm gonna rock from side to side all night, because feet on fire. But you're gonna try to stick this 12 in a 10. Confidence was gone. You know what I'm saying? You trying to make. So So eventually, I give it a good year. If this is gone, it is what it is. The 12 is gonna do what it do. That confidence level there is gone. I'm good. You accept it for what you are, But coming up, it was hard because you was always taller than everybody, and your foot was always bigger than everybody. So the first thing people notice when they look at you, the first thing they do is look down. Your foot long, but I have accepted it. It is what it is. So yeah, but
the other thing is as an adult woman now, and having a daughter, I am more conscious of the things that I say to her, because sticks and stones, break the bones, words will never hurt. That's a lie, because they do and they stay. So I'm constantly reminded, since having a daughter, of those things, and just always trying to build her up in any way that I can. So every morning we look in the mirror, and this has been ever since she could talk, and we say to ourselves, you are smart, you are beautiful. And so my thing is,
Matrix.
Ametria, I think she broke up, but that that's how you know what she was saying was.
There she goes.
There she goes.
We're gonna add on to that. So I encourage all mothers, all fathers to, and do this with your sons as well, is teach them to look at themselves in the mirror and give themselves affirmations every chance that they can, every morning, every night, whenever, so that they can too learn to encourage themselves and not having to wait on somebody else, which is something that I also learned with struggling with confidence and looking for other people to make me feel valuable or anything like that, is that I have to learn to encourage myself in this too. So if nobody else will do it, you have the power and the ability to do it for yourself. So that's just one little thing I just wanted to add.
Yeah, I think that's it right there. And I'm glad that you said that, because one of the things that we did over here too in our home was we did a family affirmation. And so we worked together on it. And then we wrote one. We have it on a big poster board. And our goal is to, say it every day and kind of, and memorize it. My daughter has already memorized it, but to encourage each other, right? And I think Ametria hit it, and to let our kids know, and you try to shield them from some of the experiences that you've had. The only thing I try to not do, some of those experiences is what made us who we are, and
right.
And while they were tough, it gives us some of the resilience, that we've had. And I think sometimes to shield our kids is always not a good thing. Not that we want them to be bullied or anything like that, but they got to learn how to navigate the playground too, as we did. And I think that's real. Any other comments just on this topic of confidence? So if you had to just give a word of encouragement to somebody else that's out there that's really struggling with their confidence, what would you say?
Hold on.
Love the skin you in, right? You just love the skin you in. Embrace it.
That's good.
You are enough.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's dope. I like that. So remember, I said that everybody sent out, and they ain't gonna talk about my bootleg baggie, but
you ain't have no pretty bowl, no. No.
I don't even know why you showed that on camera.
Really?
You're laid out over to the side. After this, we're gonna take these papers out, reuse this Ziploc bag. All right. So the other topic, which I feel like we started that, so I'm gonna pick that one specifically. And so I'm gonna read it to you. This is what was said, and then we'll all jump in. So the notion is one of the areas that one of us is struggling with is not being fully accepted by your own race. Is it safe to say that African Americans fully accept one another? And then what shade of Black is the wrong shade? How has the shade of your skin had an effect on your life confidence and self-esteem. And so I know Erica talked a little bit about that, and so we just want her to kind of talk a little bit more and give some examples, and then we can jump in.
Okay, so again, going back to when I said my childhood, and I'm not even going to just say my childhood because it's still kind of happening now. It just doesn't happen as much because, you know, I'm grown, I'm married, you know, I got a man. I don't really care what people say as much anymore. You know,
the first thing that came in my head was Shantae's got a man at home. I don't know why. She said I got a man, so I was like, Shantae.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But just thinking about, you know, some of the things that I struggle with when I say what color is the wrong color, because, you know, back in the day, it was, dark skin was not as accepted. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying it from my own perspective. Let me say that. And it's not to say that light skin was accepted either. I don't know because that's not my own experience.
Right.
But when I say something along the lines of what skin color is the wrong skin color, I mean that from my own perspective because I had so much hate towards being a darker skinned woman, even to the fact to where I would, and I'm not going to even lie to you, when I first got pregnant with Elijah, I, and this may be vain, and I'm just going to say it, we're on Sister Circle. Hey, I'm going to say it. Hold on, let me pump myself up real quick. Okay. I'm just going to say it.
Say it.
No, when I was pregnant with him, I remember saying to myself, oh, Lord, I hope he doesn't come out dark skinned. And I hate to say that like that, but that's my reality and that's my truth. Because I went through so many times people saying stuff like, oh, tar baby, blacky black. Oh, all you see is her eyes and her teeth, you know, stuff like that. To me, it's now maybe a little bit more hilarious because I'm like, really? That's what you came up with? But back then it was more hurtful to me.
Right.
But I remember saying and praying over him, saying, oh, Lord, I just don't want him to be dark skinned because of some of the struggles that I had to go through coming up. And the funny thing about it is boys may not have that same negativity as females. And then it's funny that I say I prayed over him for that, but then I turned around and had a beautiful chocolate little girl. So, you know, but every day it's like an obstacle for me. Just because in the back of my mind, am I really accepted by my own people? You know, because it wasn't, I'm not trying to be funny. It wasn't the white people that were saying that to me.
Right.
It was my own people. Oh, you cute, but you dark. Oh, black. You know, and it's kind of like, what is too far when it comes down to making criticism as far as skin color with your own race? Like, what is too far? Like, again, when I'm saying this, I'm not saying this from as though light skinned people didn't have their own struggle. I'm saying this is my struggle, and you know, at that time it was really, really hurtful to me. But sorry. Anyway, I'm talking a little bit much on this, but just some of the examples, again, that I went through. Just, I remember it was this one group of girls that I had desired to, you know, kind of try to get in with. You know, we were all cool and we were all hanging out and real cool. And I remember one time we had gone out together to a party. And of course, most of them were, and I'm not going to say most of them, all of them were lighter than I am, because, you know, I'm kind of in the darker spectrum of things. But most of the women that I was with were lighter than I was. And I remember this man, he walked past us on the dance floor. And he was like, where did you get that one from? She been outside for too long. And it hurt. It hurt so bad. Just a few instances when I was young, I used to try to ask my mom if I could start using Ambi. I didn't even know what Ambi was. I just knew that it was supposed to be a little bit lighter. So I wanted to use it. My mom was like, no, you know, you baby, you're beautiful. Just live in the skin that you're in. But it's still, at that time, it didn't feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to change. I wanted to be somebody else. I wanted to be light-skinned Sally. I don't know. I wanted to be somebody else. And as I make jokes about it, it's still kind of like, it's in the back of my mind, kind of ticking at me some of the experiences that I had, that some of the things that people actually had the nerve to say to me.
Yeah.
But why is it that we do one another like that? Why is it that we feel like we have to negatively express to someone of, and again, my experience, of a darker skin tone, that they aren't as beautiful as the next person?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's so real because, you know, for me, I honestly have to, and I know sometimes people don't want to hear this, but I feel like we have to go back to slavery. I honestly feel like we have to go back to to where it all began, and this notion of colorism started, in my opinion. You know, where those people that were in the house were the lighter ones, and those out in the field were the darker ones, and that sense of hierarchy, that you know, and when everybody's being mistreated, you know, you're looking for any inkling to make you feel better than the next person, and so I just think that just and you see that in all cultures. Right, in every culture, and when I look at my Hispanic, you know, brothers and sisters, they have that same colorism issue. That if you're lighter, then you're on the prettier side. And to me, you know, instead of just embracing all that God made us to be, and I think that, you know, I really hear you on that, because I think that just as a culture, especially as a people, you know, I feel like we're coming closer to that. You know, I mean, like, so many things has really moved us along, this notion of colorism, but it's still there. You know, sometimes, you know, I even see, like, you know, when I was a kid, you know, different family members say, you know, you don't want to be out in the sun too long. You know, you get black, and you know, you don't want to be that. You know what I'm saying? Why don't I want to be that? Why don't I want to be black? And why, you know, why is it that my skin is not as beautiful as the next person's skin? And I think that's so real. And I mean, I'm open to whatever else you guys have to say, but even for our children, right? How do we help our children to see that, you know, because my kids are lighter than me, and you know, so I've had where they like, you know, where your mama? And I'm like, I'm right here. I'm right here. These are mine. But, you know, because they don't necessarily, we definitely don't have the same skin tone, right? And so,
like, at some point, I'll be like, don't y'all know, like, man, they don't get it. Like, I feel like that's the beauty of us. Like, we could look like our great grandparents had their color, their hair, all that, and my mom's standing right here, and no, this is my mom. But I feel like that's the beauty of us, that we are.
Oh, she's breaking up. And I'm sure she's honoring the fact that
I know she is. Trust me.
Right.
I commented on the end there. There she go.
All right. Yeah. So I don't know.
Why is it doing it?
I don't know. Because sometimes we can be very judgmental. So that's something that I think we, you know, just for sometimes, and sometimes it's always it's always underlined with humor.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, I'm just joking, or I'm just, you know, but that, you know, that stuff is hurtful, and
right. Like for me, I didn't experience any like colorism issues, but it was my hair. Like, oh, you think you cute because your hair is this, and honestly, I'm like, no, at all, because I'm dealing with me being fat, you know, I'm dealing with those things. And then you want to point out this one thing that you now think is beautiful, but I can't even see that part of myself because I'm dealing with this other part.
That's right.
So now I'm dealing with that. Now it's like, oh, wait, so what? that was a clash for me. And oh well, you really not black because your hair. And I'm like, what my hair got to do with anything? And then they would see my dad, and he straight look Arabic sometimes. I mean, just really keen. And then now that I have a son who, I mean, sometimes people are really questionable. Like Kelly say, where your mama at? And I'm like, I'm right here, But for me, I didn't deal with that. I dealt with other things. And really, it was really the only thing I got is the hair. But I didn't even notice that was
the only thing you got, sister.
I didn't even think that was something, because in my mind, I'm not pretty because I'm fat. So,
girl,
that right there,
that's huge. That was me all day. That and Terrell talked about being tall. I mean, they used to call me thunder thighs, and
you have to have a comeback. You got to come back quick.
You hear what I said?
Because if you right on that dance floor, when that guy said what he said on the dance floor, Erica comeback wasn't fast enough because he had done. She let him know that he hurt because she froze. So a lot of times people feed off of that. When they see they've gotten you, a lot of times they keep going because they're like, okay, we on the road, and especially with us, when more people are around, you tend to get revved up more, and your jokes come harder and stuff when you see that somebody is timid, or some people are just humble. They're not going to go back and forth with you.
I'm that person. I can't.
I think that's why my comeback is so strong now, because I had it all built up. And it's like, oh, I got you now. Boom, boom, boom. Like I can come back now. But before, because one, like Erica said, you want to be friends with people, and this is when you're younger. Now it's completely different. Like I know I can walk away.
Have a comeback game. Like I'm still learning. My friends talk to me all the time. Like, girl, you got to get better. I would have said, then they pop out.
I'm like, dang, that was good. Let me write that down.
My stuff is like 3 days later. And another thing.
But I know you just have to, sometimes you have to be mindful, because I know a lot of times I go home and I be like, you ain't even have to say all that. Sometimes it's so bad, so you feel bad of the things that you say, because when you trying to do your Christian walk and you try to yourself, you're supposed to let a lot of this stuff pretty much supposed to all roll off.
That's the approach I took as a kid.
Yes, honey.
I would be like, you know what? I could talk my god sister, because she dealt with the same thing, and I'd be like, you know what? You tell them that God bless you, and walk away.
That's good.
But it worked. It worked.
I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it worked on occasion, because she'll come back and be like, oh, Mimi, you know what? They stopped messing with me, and I was like, see, girl, that's good. Now, other occasions, I don't know, but you got to be.
I was trying to fight.
Yeah,
I was trying to fight.
I would fight. But I think it goes back to what you all are saying. A lot of it is our own self-hate.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in that phrase, hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
And so, you experience your own challenges. And so, instead of you dealing with it, you're going to try to, sometimes it's like, when I was in school, so that nobody starts picking on you, you start getting the jokes out there, you start getting them out there first. And, let me get this girl over here, but they start getting on me today about my hair. And so I think that's a lot of it too, is just, trying to find something wrong in somebody else because there's something wrong in you.
That's right.
And I don't, I really try to help my kids to think about, about your character, being a good person, and loving what God gave you. And we talk about this like almost every Sunday, in the Sunday school class, that, you too involved in somebody else's blessing that you can't even see what God's doing for you. And so I really, really agree with you guys on that. Any other comments just about this topic? And you guys have been given some good encouragement, but any other comments on this topic? No, y'all feel good about this? We've exhausted We exhausted this topic. Amitri, she got a lot going on over there where she's at.
I'm not even doing anything. I don't know why.
You know, Amitri live in the country out there, so I don't know if they have Wi-Fi. I'm going back to the bag.
They don't know if they have Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Hold on, let me pull up Google. You finna go back to the bag. Let me go pull up Google.
I'm gonna go back to the bag. Y'all ready? All right, we're gonna pick a smaller one. So in the bag, the topic was one of the challenges is, I like this one. One of the challenges this person is dealing with is tiptoeing around people's feelings.
Ooh.
Having the need to tiptoe around other people's feelings. So talk to us a little bit about that, Terrell. Why are you tiptoeing around people's feelings?
I guess normally, I just used to say what it is that, but some people, are fragile. So when you approach, you have to come, and instead of coming the way full speed ahead, you kind of tiptoe. You don't really want to say, but at the end of the day, I don't think, you can call yourself a good friend when you're trying to spare their feelings. Sometimes people just need to be told, but I find I do that a lot. I curve a lot to people that I really, really love, and instead of just saying, no, boo, this is with this, I'll curve it, I'll tiptoe around it to spare from hurting your feelings. But at the end of the day, when you're thinking about it, you're like, you really should have said this, because they still doing the same thing. Maybe they needed to hear you say, this is how, this is how this should have been, or maybe you should try this because this is not working.
Yeah.
That's true. Anybody else? Are you feeling the same situation? Are you having to tiptoe around people's feelings, or you don't even worry about their feelings? You just
I agree. I agree, especially in certain dynamics of our lives. When we encounter different situations, like depending on where you are, you definitely have to, or I do, for sure, tiptoe around a lot of people's feelings. And the bad part about it is that I feel like I'm tiptoeing around their feelings, but they don't tiptoe around mine.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, look, man, I should have said what I had to change. And my husband be like, girl, you should have said blase, blase. And I be like, man, I missed the opportunity. Like, I got to get better. Like, my comebacks are bad. They're horrible. Like, I can't. If I come back, it's like straight cut a jugular, cut the throat. It's not a good comeback. It's like I'm coming all the way. I'm slicing off heads in here. So I do tiptoe around people's feelings a lot. And again, it ends up hurting me because I be like, oh man, I really wanted to say this and this and that. And I know they ain't gonna stop. But then too, what would I be as far as my Christianity if I didn't?
And that gets thrown back in your face. I know people tell it to me all the time.
Yeah, because the Bible says
you go to church every Sunday, you're supposed to be a Christian.
Few, what it say? The Bible said, let your conversation be few and seasoned with grace. So it's kind of like, when you start thinking back there, like, that scripture said, let it be seasoned with grace. Lord, I know that wasn't seasoned with grace, so let me just be quiet. Yay and nay. This is what I started doing. So, I feel like I tiptoe around people too in their conversations.
So we have somebody. It's important to learn nice, nasty.
See what I'm dealing with. You see,
it's important to learn nice, nasty. So for me, I agree. I always feel like, and especially for those of us that, work in environments where maybe you're the supervisor too. So you have to learn all the time, or, you're trying all the time to communicate in a way that is not offensive, that's not hurtful, even though people talk to you all types of crazy. And you have to, kind of keep it all in and reply back to them. I'm sorry you feel the way that you're feeling, and and try to keep it very respectful and polite, and really what I struggle with that a lot, just because I feel like I'm frustrated. So my house really gets the brunt of the frustration. So at home, I'm letting them have it. Like, you're not gonna talk to me like that. I'm like, because these people on my job are gonna be crazy. You're not gonna talk to me like that. But you know, and one of the things I really try to work around, I don't know if this helps you to, I don't know if I necessarily count as tiptoeing, as I see it as what's the desired outcome? The desired outcome is change behavior. And I think you hit it. You know, some people need it. I think of kids in the classroom. There's some kids that need it like, and there's some kids that need it like, hey, friend, you don't need to be doing that. And they're going to receive it. So I always try to be mindful. I'm not, you know, I don't hit it all the time, but just try to be mindful of the way they're going to receive it. Because if you don't receive it, but you know, if you don't receive it in the way that I'm going to tell it, then I probably shouldn't say it, you know, and asking God just to open the door for me to be able to say it. When's the right opportunity for me to say it? And 9 times out of 10, they'll, you know, sometimes they bring it up. You like, here we go. I'm so glad you said that. I want to tell you this.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, just continue. And I know you guys are doing that. Continue just to, you know, seek the Lord in a way so that he allows you to speak the truth. I think where I struggle sometimes, and I don't know if you guys have trouble with this, I have trouble like telling people bad news sometimes. Like I get it if, you know, if it's part of my job, you know, then I don't have trouble with it. But but if it's like a friend, I have trouble with, you know, telling a friend sometimes, you know, hey, you know, you got a booger in your nose, or hey, like,
he's not lying.
I know I have to say somebody else. We had a young lady that you know, we had to say something to her because of her dress, and it was like, hey, you need to talk to her. I'm like, I ain't gonna be able to do it. I can't tell this girl pants too tight. I can't do it. I feel like I don't, and I love her. I'm like, she's got to walk around looking like that.
Now, I have a question. Is that being a good friend?
It's not a bad friend, but you know, you
but at this point,
tell me
if she's already out and about, even
I tell you, friend. I would tell you.
Terrell, what were you saying?
I'm saying at this point, if the person is already out and dressed for the day, you saying it's too small or too tight ain't gonna change. The person is already out and about, so I'm just.
And sometimes I feel like, well, she thought that looked good, so I'm no fashionista. In my opinion, to be telling you what doesn't look right and what it was right. So I
think with us, with just women in general, you have to know it's okay to be confident, but you need to know what's appropriate. Everybody should know what is appropriate to come out the house in. You looked at yourself in that mirror and said, I am the bottom. That's what you said. But everything was just too small.
I can see Kelly saying the Bible says, holy.
No. Kelly ain't saying nothing. She's not saying any word. She's just saying, Ametria, can you look?
Correct.
Yes.
I tell them. I had this.
But I was hoping you at least tell me. Like, tell me.
I tell them. Sister.com, I would tell you.
Oh, thank you, Erica.
Then my husband, he's on the back end like, oh, baby, you shouldn't have said that. Because I'd be like, ooh, somebody musty. You like, oh, baby.
I can't say it. I just had to wait. Well, I had to.
Ooh.
Well, really, it's on my face. I'm like, this is not right. But I don't.
You can give a disclaimer. Would that help you to give a disclaimer?
What's going to help me is I'm going to say, Erica.
Yeah. All right.
Do you see what I see? Do you want to address that?
I'd be like, hold on, Kelly. Hey, girl, come here. Your skirt too tight. Come here. We can do something about this next time.
Oh my God!
But what y'all gonna do when you get in there? How you gonna make it untight?
But you know what you normally would do? Like them old school holiness women, get that prayer cloth.
Make it untight.
Because I feel like I'm sensitive. It would hurt my feelings if somebody, or it
It's a
depends,
way to do it.
it depends on how it's said. Because I've seen people like in front of everybody. You must,
No,
and
you don't do it like that.
I've seen some real stuff go down. So
we're gonna have to have a mock trial for Kelly because you got
yeah, we're gonna model it and just practice. So how would you say to her?
Yes.
But I agree with you. I think that, good friendships would say to that person and say, hey, because I care about you, I don't want you going looking crazy. But I've had people say things to me, but it's in the presence of, is that good friendship? Like they'll say something to me about, maybe something is tight or I'm doing something, but they say it in the loud, and it comes across
right. You can't do it like that. Now if it's a real friend or something, like if you joking like, oh girl, that's different. But like if it's your real friend, just for instance, I had a friend in college. She had a odor issue. And I remember one time, me and my friends were kind of sitting around. We were like, man, somebody needs to tell her that ain't right. So, of course, it fell on me. So I was like, oh, Lord. So, of course, I waited until everybody had left. And I had a discussion with her. I was like, are you having some sort of issue? Maybe there's something that you could start using, as far as different soaps. We kind of talked about that, and she received it well. But I think it's just all about the way you deliver it. Because if you come to them crazy or say something in front of a lot of people, and sometimes, especially if that's your friend, you don't want to embarrass them.
Right.
So, that's just what I do.
Yeah, I would always pull somebody on the side. I wouldn't do it like that either, but I don't know, because I would just think, you work out or whatever, you just walked outside and did a couple of laps around the block. You feel you sweaty. You ain't got to smell it. You just feel you sweaty.
Right.
So I don't see how people don't.
Oh, here she goes.
These things. You shouldn't have had to sit down with somebody, because that was a grown up in college.
It was.
What kind of soap are you using? Obviously none.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was a female issue.
Taught them that, and I think sometimes they don't. I think people honestly are giving their best. I have to assume that sometimes that they don't see it as a problem, or they didn't know it was a problem till somebody says something to, and as outlandish as we all think that is, I do feel like that is the case for a lot of people. And that
I know religion has some people's background, because the Walmart on Mumford, I hate going in there because it's a lot of they don't use deodorant, and it's with their background. They don't use deodorant, so you have to kind of suck it up and respect it, because that's what they Now on that, I'll say they probably know it, but they get everything But as far as us, any of us coming up, you were taught. You were taught. Because depending on which grandmother you was with, it was your grandmother, your great grandmother, they done put a cap of bleach in your water, and you sitting there as you get older, talking about them people could have killed me putting that bleach in my water. So I just don't know when it comes to African Americans, because I can't think of a house you would eat that they didn't make you take a bath. These things were taught to us, so I don't know.
I agree. Definitely when it comes to cultures and things like that, everybody's background is different. So we definitely understand that part. But for those of us, I agree with you, Terrell. And then I don't agree. I still feel like there's some people out there that their parent just did not say, okay, this is how you're supposed to bathe, this is how you're supposed to wash yourself. I don't know if because I had to believe that somebody didn't teach you, that you would come out here and
that's true.
And
that's true.
Nobody
because if they weren't taught, then what knowledge are they?
Yeah, we got a stalker in the comments.
went to
I think you
school.
need to block somebody. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say any names, but you need to.
So let's go to the blunt comment because I'm horrible at that. So I get dinged on that from my husband pretty frequently in the way that I say things, and in my
Right.
mind, it's a lot of times I rehearsed it, and I rehearsed it like this sounds good. What I'm doing.
In your mind, oh, you thought it was okay.
You got to take it a step further. You got to practice with someone else.
I would have to do that in my mind.
Right.
I rehearsed it, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna say this." And I feel like marriage really challenges you in how you know, or not necessarily marriage, but being with someone challenges you in how you're going to communicate and say something to somebody in a way. And I've had to really like I don't know if I'm better. We'd have to ask Mark if I'm better.
No, he just understands. That's it. He just understands.
Than I was when I was, younger. But I try to I really try in my mind. I do try. And I try to be purposeful now about when I say things. There are times when, I might want to say something and it's right before he getting ready to preach a sermon and he looking at me like, did you just say that? And I got the not right on the word. Like, so I'll be like, okay, I ain't gonna say nothing before he get ready to I'm trying to be better about how I'm saying it and be open to his feedback to say, and we have like a phrase in our home, like, you talking to me strong. So that's our phrase. When we feel like what's
Back it up.
when somebody feels out of pocket, I feel like you're talking to me strong. The way
I need to write this down. I need to get a phrase.
I feel like you're talking to me strong. Then the other person be like, "Oh, I'm not trying to talk to you strong. What's trying to say?" Okay, then we'd be like, "Okay, now we at the same level." But I did feel like it was strong how you had said what you were saying. So, I mean, any advice on how not to talk as blunt as I'm talking?
Well, apparently, honey, I ain't got no advice to give because mine just added me on. I mean,
okay, I don't necessarily have advice because I feel like I'm the same way too. And it's really not, like Kelly said, it's not on purpose. It's just that I feel like you need the truth. And I feel like I probably tiptoed too many times and you still come to me with the same thing. So now I just need to say it. And then explain, listen, this is why I'm saying this, because we've already been down this road. We've already had this conversation.
See, I don't do any of that. Like I just
I'm not saying that I do. What I'm saying is,
let me ask y'all this. Let me ask you this. Do you receive it? Are you okay
so maybe
it in the same way you give it? Because I've learned that I don't receive that well either.
Right. Why
you talking to me like this?
My husband has the sharpest tongue out of everybody, honey. He can slice you up with just one word, and you be like, "Dude, I have to try to compete with that." Like, I feel like I have to come back strong, and be like, and he'd be like, "Oh, really? Oh, for real? That's how we're doing it now, huh?" I'd be like, "Hey, what did I say?" Then I know it's not right. Look at him.
He already said it. He said
you would never receive it. You don't ever want to be on the receiving end. Because then you feel pleased. Like I know you're not talking to me.
I just know.
Yeah, you have to
you gotta come back strong with it.
Kind of, I guess, watch before you do some blunt.
You can't lose that comment. I used to think back to myself when I first got married, how can I win? I still don't win half the time, but still, I be like,
and they would disagree. I know they're listening. They would be like, "Oh, you win all the time," and I feel like I'm over here dealing with a lawyer, so we going to court every day. So exactly what happened and on what date and time, and can you repeat back those? And I'm like, I can't. So
forget it. I don't even remember what I said. I don't
even remember.
Forget it.
But I think the point is that we want to be truthful and honest with one another. And like someone in the comments said, it should come from a good place, So, and if we truly know that we are all friends genuinely, then I shouldn't take it mean, I shouldn't take it that way. They wouldn't be sharing this with me if, they didn't love me and,
right.
heard this and the other. So I think sometimes we do have to think about the perception of how that person will perceive what's being said, but also, from us as a friend, like, hey, I gotta say this, because if not, I'm gonna be a bad friend if I don't.
Yeah, but I feel like, and y'all mentioned, my clap back, when I feel it's the Bronx in me, y'all. When I feel like you pushing me against a wall, here I come, because I'm like, let's get down to the facts. But I do feel like Amitra is a great friend in helping me to see where I'm getting ready to go. Like, she's like, you get ready to go somewhere that you may not, you need a real back, because you
can't save you, friend.
Work yourself up, and you get ready to let these people have it, and so and you can't come back from it. So
I'm like, stop, hey, hold up.
Like, she said, what?
I'd be like, call me. Get her.
Wait, it's this meme. I know if y'all seen it. It's the cat that just be going, and that is Kelly. And I'd be like, I need you to press delete on of it. Hold up. Let's talk about this.
It's wrong when it start off with, first of all, your email and your conversation is not going to go the right direction.
But then what happens when you try to be a good friend, but that friend just want to be how they want to be, and they don't want to answer the phone?
So you just gotta let them go, and then you come back and let them vent later.
And you gotta pray for them that they don't take something so out of pocket that they can't come back from it. But
we got a question in the chat.
Question in the chat: is clapping back right or wrong? I'm asking for myself.
Yeah, who did
that? Is clapping back right or wrong? I'm asking for myself. I would say it's wrong. Only because I say it's wrong because when I think from a biblical standpoint, there's nothing we have to prove. God is already going to prove it. The clapping back is to let the person know that, of course, as Christians. Okay, sorry. Are you talking about from a Christian?
The Bible said I for
real life.
Are you talking about right? You talking about real life?
You talking about real life? Well, okay. So what if you're trying to defend yourself? Like at that point, like for us in the, going back to the confidence issues that we all talked about, and at some point you're not gonna talk to me crazy. I'm like, Terrell, no, it ends right here.
But I think you can say that. And say like my sister is very much like that. I never met a person like this. There was a girl that was bullying her at her school when she was in elementary school, and my mom worked there. My mom was one of the teachers, and my mom was like, "Oh, wait till we get there tomorrow." And and so yeah, for those of you that know my mom, so my house was ready. We was like, okay, we finna do this. And so she said, can I try dealing with it? And we were like, okay. And so what she did was she pulled a girl to the side and talked to her and said, I don't appreciate the way you're treating me and talking to me. I never seen nothing like that in my entire life. I said, wow, this is amazing. And you talked to her. And you said to her feelings and for, and in that sense everything worked out. But I mean, just the notion of address the situation but it wasn't out of, anger. She let the girl know, I don't appreciate the way you talking to me, but I didn't have to front you out in the way that you fronted me out, kind of a thing.
Right.
Good job, Kathleen.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
No, because that's not my
Deliver yet.
and
if that girl response was and then
Then it was like,
where we go now?
Kelly, come handle my light work. We get it. What?
Like that.
Look, Kathleen that came out the house and left all the reinforcement at the house because she gonna talk to her.
Oh, Kathleen would have learned that day. Hey,
you better get that girl.
you better get up.
All right, ladies. So that is how we're going to wrap up our Sister Circle. And so for those of you that are listening, we have it on several platforms. So if there's a comment, question, a topic for the next discussion, we would love those ideas as we are preparing for the next discussion. And hopefully you guys hear that that we're just for women, believers in Jesus Christ, but who are human beings and trying to navigate the Christian life. And we do it together. We do it with a lot of humor and fun and laughter. But we also acknowledge that we are a work in progress. The Bible says the Lord has begun a work in me.
yes.
And he is faithful to complete it.
Yes.
And so he is still working on us. And that's the other thing we love about each other is the fact that there is no one's better than the next person. We see each other for who we are. And so we pray that you have your sister circle and you guys are having your conversations. But we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a blessed week. Thanks, everybody.